So in the performance, I play Morris, who is the detective, and on the day of the performance, we had a preview performance and an evening performance, and so we had like two performances, like one in the afternoon, one in the evening, and in the first performance, the preview one, I struggled quite a bit, well, throughout the whole play, with my diction and the pace that I went at when I was speaking, like saying my lines, particularly in scene 9, because the pace of it's very quick and it's very snappy, because I'm constantly hammering her with these questions and to Mrs. Doyle. So that made it difficult to say, the words kind of kept blurring into one. Sometimes it was under control in scene 9, but then sometimes it was just it just spun me off completely, and it wasn't as strong as it has been in the past, which is partly due to bad habit, partly due to nerves, because this is the first time they've done a big performance of the play, but also because when I first started tackling this character and looking at it, Detective Morris has very difficult words to pronounce, in scene 2, to St. Thomas's Episcopal Church, or dissuading modern terminology, and words that you wouldn't normally, I wouldn't normally use, because she is still young, but she's a bit older than I am, and she's very professional and I'd say well educated, which you can kind of see from the words that she uses and the way that she kind of carries herself, I thought. And so that was one of the why that issue kind of cropped up. But luckily in the second performance, the evening performance, I concentrated quite a bit on making sure that I was taking my time and thinking about the lines, rather than just blurring through them, and making sure my words had beginning and ends, so it was proper, you could really tell what I was saying, and I was really mouthing the words a bit more. And I think it did go a lot smoother in the second one, partly because we'd already kind of got the nervous energy out of us in the first performance, so we were all had a lot more of a calm about us, and we weren't sort of panicky and nervous. We were just very kind of eager to do this performance, and we could kind of we were just a lot more calmer and a lot more focused, because we weren't all had adrenaline and excited nervousness about us, and also there was still one or two words that were clunky, but it was a much better, much more improved than the first performance. What I thought went well in my performance was, I think, my tone, because what I've struggled with in past rehearsals is my tone is good in individual scenes, but then when we did full run-throughs and pieced it all together, my tone kind of kept following the same pattern of being very intense, very it followed it peaked too early on in the play, the intensity of my tone and my words and my speed, and so I tried really hard and I thought really like a lot about it, but about how I was going to approach this in the performance. And so I did this by thinking a lot more like, what other interpretations can I do of this line? Like, would my character really be that intense so early on? And thinking like about it as a whole play instead of just individual scenes which we'd rehearsed in the past. And so I felt that in the final performance, and both of the performances, my tone went up on more of a gradual level and it was a lot more varied. It wasn't just following the same pattern again and again, which I felt made the performance overall so much like more stronger for me, because it made it more interesting. People weren't just listening to like the same scene over and over again, even though there were different scenes. It like made each scene more unique and it made it flow better, the whole piece, I found. So I felt that was a strong point for me personally, just because I'd struggled with that in the past. I focus quite a bit on my voice in the performance and in rehearsal and play, because the play, like, because we did it traverse staging, like the Nether's there, when it's like a lot less static and there's a lot more levels and moving around. Whereas in the interrogation room, where I was based the whole time, it was very on one level and there was rarely movement in it because we're basically just sat at a table. And so, because you're not having to think about your physical movements and like make it more visually interesting with levels and movement, you have to make it engaging for the audience with your voice, because they're just watching two people sat there like talking. So that's why I felt it was very key for me to work on my voice and my tone and my facial expressions a lot more, because the audience I felt like the audience wouldn't be as engaged just for the fact that it's so static and there's not a lot of levels used and the stage isn't very like used, like it's very central and like blocked there. So it was key for me to like still try and keep it engaging for the audience. So that was like quite a tough thing to tackle at first, because I'm like, usually I've done like in the past like more like plays with a lot more movement in it, and so it was weird to go to and do a play that's very static and not using a lot of the space. But I felt that we did do that well, like me and the other actors that were on stage that I had scenes with. We spent a lot of time thinking, oh, but could we change that, make it a bit more interesting, maybe do this, use this volume instead of staying at the same level constantly, because then it would just, I felt like people wouldn't be engaged. Also in performance, or like particularly talking about the staticness, in scene 1, 2, 3, that they're all in the interrogation room, and in scene 1 we're sat down for the whole time. Scene 2 I'm stood up for three lines at the start, and that's it. And then scene 3 is static again, and so because they're just watching 3 long scenes like continuously on that static level, it was it had to be very energetic and interesting, not visually with our facial expressions and body language, but also with our voice. One thing that I also felt went well in the performance was the energy used, not just by me but by the other actors that I had scenes with, and because we had adrenaline and we were nervous, our energy was upped quite a lot, and we fully went for it as much as we could. In the preview performance, we did give it a lot of energy, but with the clunkiness of the lines, like I said before, with me, it didn't reach its full potential. So in the second performance, we did try to give that same level of energy, but also think about our lines a lot more, like, and what we were doing, not with like our emotional performance, but with the quality of how we were saying the lines. So we were giving that same energy, that same emotional quality, but also the quality of the lines were a lot better, which is what made that performance so much better, and brought it out on a better level. But I felt like the energy was good.